My name is Lilian Olubi. I'm a finance and investment banking professional, also a filmmaker. I'm the executive producer for Osamede. Osamede is an African story. It's a big and beautiful African story, but it's told through the lens of an Edo story, which of course is my home state. But in addition, we told the story of the Benin Empire, which we all know is very rich in its history and its significance as one of the most advanced and sophisticated kingdoms and civilizations. And so it's a story for me of restitution. And by restitution, I'm referring more to the reclaiming of our identity and restoring our glory as Africans. And it is told through the story of the eponymous character, Osamede, who leads a charge for her nation and her community to victory. Almost somewhat of a charge to everyone about how we can effect change. She obviously has superpowers, and we conjecture in the story the source of her superpowers being from one of the beautiful stories of the Edo Kingdom, and one of the items that these history books have as to be one of the archaeological objects that were taken away during the invasion. And so it's really just, a story of courage, of this beautiful, courageous woman who led her community to victory. And almost as a charge for all of us, also a bit of a lens and a glance as to the future on what portends for us as Africans and what the next phase should look like. Literally, this story came. And this was about, I think it was about 2019, following, a bit of a personal journey in 2018 that was quite a tumultuous time. And just in the process of thinking through what that 2018 was like, and literally in a time of worship, the story just dropped literally in my consciousness. And I then think, of course, as time has gone by, I have seen the relevance of why perhaps I was chosen to tell that story, and how everything that represents my values and my vision and burden for the nation and my background and my heritage has all come together to weave into this story that I saw in a glance. So it started in 2018, and I sort of kept it in my heart for a few months, or maybe up to a year, and later on commissioned it to a scriptwriter to do a stage play version, which we did in 2021, and in 2022 we've had about 12 live showings to date. When the story idea came, it came literally as an idea for stage, for the theater. And it was really to bring that, I saw it in the form of the Edo culture represented, in this courageous woman's story. And that was the idea fully, and it was fully expressed then. It was later on, as we were working to improve the storyline over the course of producing the stage play, we then wanted to tell a bigger story. There was too much to tell. There was more things coming to my heart, and wanted to expand that story, and that medium then became the film medium, that we wanted to tell this epic historical story, and we decided to take it to film. So first of all, I think the immediate limitation would be the limitation of time. The limitation even of the construct of a stage. Stage is beautiful in that how, it's live, it's raw. There's something about stage that's just magical, and nothing quite like it. But then when you think about the depth of what you want to showcase, for instance, we shot, as you're aware, in Edo State. We wanted to showcase the beauty that is the state. You couldn't have had that in a play, for example. We wanted to show layers and different, bring so many things, to the world. And of course, most importantly, perhaps, is we wanted the world to see it. And film is the medium. Many years ago, I remember once somebody asking me about using one word to define who I thought I was. And I remember that the word that kept coming to mind was this word storyteller. And it felt so disingenuous that, me as a finance professional, like, how can I be saying I'm a storyteller? It was also interesting that all these people that I so admired were people, in the creative arts space. But then, of course, looking back and now in retrospect, one has sort of seen how that this has always been there. I've always been interested in stories in different forms. And if it was in writing, and I am an author as well. If it was in music, any form of storytelling has always been an interest. That has been the journey, really. And of course, in transporting this now to film, we're doing it. And I guess there's many ways and many parts of storytelling. And one can even argue that I have been telling stories even in my world of finance in many forms. The beauty I had with working with James was that he just, apart from being a great director, also a great producer. And so we saw, and also a great storyteller, because he was quite supportive even with the story itself. And so I've enjoyed every part of those skill sets that he brings. Okay, so there was first of all that I had to defer to his skill. I, of course, was coming in as a first-time filmmaker, even though, of course, I had some history with the stage play. I hadn't done film before. So I couldn't be deluded to think that I knew what that was like. The only thing I was convinced about was what I had the vision for and the skill in my mind, which I thought I did a good job articulating, and which, of course, James got. And so in drawing up that budget, of course, he was extremely detailed with it. But even at that, we then found, and I think at certain times when you're going out of state, as you're well aware that we shot this movie in Edo and in 2 different locations in Edo, I guess there's some things that I just had to forecast, that perhaps, and then there was also the inflationary conditions that added to so initial budgets were not, sort of sufficient to have planned with. Of course, as a business person, I was also mindful of giving enough buffer to that budget in the event that we scaled. It was very important, and especially because of the financing structure that I took on. I didn't want a situation where we had to go back or have dilution. It was an equity structure, and so it was important that we had something quite detailed. But even with our best effort, we still had an overrun. But again, with these things, it's transparency, it's explanation, it's communication with the stakeholders, and we're still on the journey. I pitched it with the vision. The vision, as I had mentioned before, of a restitution, of something that I feel rekindles the path to reclaiming our glory as Africans and reclaiming our identity and restoring our glory. And we think we tell a beautiful story, that analogy, if you like, of the African story, speaking to the source of our history, a beautiful and powerful history, and also to a place that we have not yet come to, yet with so much potential. And so this message was meant to be this provocative film to show us what we could be and where we're coming from. And it's almost this thing of, did I say, a fallen glory, or sort of showing us where, the path that we were about to take. And so it's really that in this film, we've interrogated all of these paths. We also pitched it, of course, with the layers of the part that we have to play in nation building, in being source of change to history, and to be part of the change makers, in telling a story that not just speaks to what the colonial era did to us, but also what we did to ourselves. That we have to have agency around things that happened in the history, and also be the ones to cause the change for a better future. So that was the heart of the message of Osamede that was, that was pitched. I think it's been an unfolding. And even till now, and even in doing this play, and then this film, and filming in Edo, oftentimes reminding myself that this is the land of my ancestors. This is where, my ancestors are buried on this ground. This is home. This is my real homeland. But I think that, the Edo woman is really a warrior. It's a warrior woman. Edo women are very strong. Edo people are very strong. And in seeing all of the things that I am, how my mother was, how my family is, and just the values that we hold and the strength of our character, particularly, especially even on the female line, I guess one is seeing that, there is something of a cultural heritage of strength from the land that I'm very proud to be associated with. My name is Lilian Olubi. I'm the executive producer for Osamede. So Osamede is a beautiful Edo epic historical movie, shot in a way as you have never seen before. It's great scenery. It's artistic elegance. There's history. There's landscape. Most importantly, it's a rich and real story of our origins.